It was supposed to be a simple favor for my sister Lily. She had fallen on hard times, and I was in a position to help. I had recently moved into a new place, and it was bigger than I needed, so when Lily asked if she could stay with me for a little while, I agreed without hesitation. How could I say no? She was family. If you want more interesting stories like this, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what happens next. At first, things were fine. Lily was a bit stressed, but she seemed grateful. She kept to herself most of the time, and I was happy to give her the space she needed to get her life back on track. I never expected that a small favor would turn into one of the most uncomfortable situations of my life. Everything changed when Lily's boyfriend, Ethan, came to stay with her for a few days. I didn't mind him visiting, but things quickly spiraled out of control. First, he started spending more time at the apartment. Then, one evening, I came home to find the locks had been changed. I stood there, stunned, staring at the door. Why would they change the locks? I had never agreed to that. I knew something felt off, but I hadn't been ready to confront it yet. I rang the doorbell, hoping it was just a misunderstanding. But when Lily answered, I was taken aback by the coldness in her eyes. "Lily, what's going on? Why did you change the locks?" I asked, my voice a little shaky from the confusion and frustration building inside me. She looked at me for a long moment before stepping aside to let me in. "Ethan thought it would be safer if we had more control over the place," she said, her voice casual, but I could tell she wasn't fully owning the decision. "It's just temporary. Don't make a big deal out of it." I tried to remain calm, but this was getting out of hand. "Temporary?" I repeated. "How long has he been staying here? I never agreed to that." Lily shrugged. "It's not like we have anywhere else to go. Ethan's just helping out. You know how it is." That was when I noticed it. The list. It was pinned to the wall by the door, a handwritten note with a list of things that needed to be done around the apartment. At the top was a bolded title, "Household Rules." I took a closer look at it, my eyes widening with disbelief as I read through the list. No loud music after 10 p.m. No visitors without prior approval from Ethan. Please clean up after yourself and make sure the bathroom is always stocked with supplies. I felt my chest tighten with anger. What was going on here? This was supposed to be my apartment, the place I had worked hard for, and now it felt like I was the one being pushed out. "Lily, what is all this?" I asked, my voice rising in frustration. She looked uncomfortable but didn't meet my gaze. "It's just some rules Ethan put in place. We're just trying to keep things organized while we're here. You know how he is. He likes things to be in order." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Ethan was taking over my apartment. I had offered Lily a place to stay, but I hadn't agreed to have her boyfriend move in permanently and take charge of my home. This wasn't the favor I had signed up for. I had given them an inch, and now they were taking a mile. "I don't think this is going to work," I said, my voice steady but filled with frustration. "I never agreed to having him move in. This is my place, and I should have been consulted before any changes were made." Lily's expression changed, and for the first time, I saw a hint of guilt in her eyes. But it was clear she was conflicted. She didn't want to upset Ethan, but I wasn't sure how much longer I could just sit back and let this happen. Lily stood there, silent for a moment, as if processing what I had just said. The awkward tension in the air seemed to grow thicker with every passing second. I had always been the one to make compromises in our relationship, the one who would bend and adjust to keep the peace, but not this time. Not with my home. Not anymore. "I didn't think it would be a big deal, Rachel," Lily finally said, her voice almost apologetic, but still carrying that hint of defensiveness. "Ethan's just trying to help out, and we've been through a lot. I thought it would make things easier." I shook my head, feeling a mix of hurt and anger. "You thought it would make things easier? By changing the locks and creating rules in my apartment?" My voice had gained strength with each word. "Lily, this is my space. I never agreed to this, and it's not just Ethan's home to dictate how things should go. You can't just take over my life like this." She flinched at my tone but didn't speak immediately. I could see the conflict in her eyes, but I wasn't going to back down. I couldn't anymore. I didn't know what to do, okay? I didn't want to cause trouble, she admitted, her eyes dropping to the floor. But I also didn't want to be thrown out, not when things with me and Ethan weren't working out. I thought maybe we could make it work here, just for a while. I didn't think he'd take things so far. I'm sorry. Her apology hit me in an unexpected way. I had always tried to be there for her, even when she made decisions I didn't agree with. But this time, something was different. This wasn't just a little inconvenience. This was an invasion of my personal space and boundaries. It was my home, and I had allowed her to stay, but this was crossing the line. Lily, I've always tried to help you, I said, trying to keep my emotions in check. But this is too much. You didn't ask me about any of this. You didn't even let me know what was going on until I found out for myself. Ethan is not just a guest. He's trying to run my apartment, and I'm not okay with it. She opened her mouth to respond, but before she could, I held up my hand, stopping her. I wasn't done. You didn't just move him in. You let him make decisions about my place. You let him change the locks and create rules for me to follow. This isn't just about you needing a place to stay, it's about respect. And right now, I don't feel respected. Lily's face softened, and I saw the guilt and realization start to sink in. But before she could speak again, the door to the apartment opened. Ethan walked in, his usual confident stride betraying none of the tension that had been building. He didn't even look at me at first, but I could feel his presence shift the entire dynamic in the room. "Hey, what's going on in here?" Ethan asked casually, glancing at both of us. I turned to him, a sudden rush of frustration filling me. This was it. I couldn't hold back anymore. I was tired of being polite, tired of letting him walk all over me. "What's going on?" I echoed, my voice rising. "You're in my apartment, changing the locks and setting rules like it's your own place. What gives you the right to do that?" Ethan looked surprised, but then a smirk crept onto his face. "I don't know what the problem is. I'm just trying to make things run smoothly around here. It's no big deal." "No big deal," I repeated, incredulous. "You're changing my locks, making a list of rules for me, and you think it's no big deal?" Lily was quiet, watching the exchange unfold. It was clear she hadn't expected things to escalate like this, but I wasn't going to let this slide anymore. I wasn't going to let Ethan think he could just waltz in and take over my home. "I didn't ask for this," I said, my voice steady now but filled with frustration. "I gave you a place to stay, Lily, but you've let him walk all over my boundaries. This is my home, and if you want to stay here, it's going to be under my rules, not his." Ethan's smirk faded as he crossed his arms. "It's not like I'm trying to take over, Rachel. I'm just making sure we're all comfortable here. You don't even have to be around half the time." I stared at him, shocked at his audacity. "Comfortable? I didn't invite you to live here, Ethan. You were a guest, and now you've turned this place into something completely different. This isn't about being comfortable. This is about disrespect." The tension in the room was palpable. I wasn't going to back down. Not now, not ever. I had tried to be the nice, understanding person, but this was too much. This was my home, and I wasn't going to let anyone take it from me. Not my sister, not her boyfriend, not anyone. Ethan was silent for a moment, then finally spoke. "Fine, if you're so upset, maybe we should leave. We can find somewhere else to stay." I nodded, relieved to see him back down, but also disgusted by how easily he dismissed the situation. "Maybe that's a good idea," I said, my voice steady but firm. "You can leave, and then maybe we can figure out what's next, but I need space to think, and I need you both to respect my boundaries." Lily looked torn, but she knew I was right. She didn't argue. Instead, she just looked at me with a mixture of guilt and regret. "I'm sorry, Rachel. I didn't mean for it to get this out of hand." I took a deep breath, trying to calm the storm brewing inside me. "I know, but it can't keep happening. I need respect, and I need to know that when I offer help, it's not going to turn into something I regret." After a tense moment, Ethan and Lily quietly gathered their things. The atmosphere in the apartment felt heavy, as though everything had shifted in that one conversation. I could see the awkwardness in their eyes as they began to prepare to leave, but neither of them said anything more. The silence that hung between us felt suffocating, and I couldn't help but wonder if they understood the gravity of what had just happened. As I watched them pack up their bags, the reality of it all hit me. They were leaving, and I was standing up for myself. It was surreal, yet liberating. I had always tried to avoid conflict, always tried to keep the peace, but this time I knew something had to change. I wasn't going to let anyone walk all over me, not even my family. Once they were done packing, Ethan grabbed his bag and turned to look at me. "Look, Rachel," he began, his voice a little softer now. "I didn't mean to cause any trouble. I just wanted to make sure Lily had a stable place to stay." I took a deep breath, keeping my calm. "You've done more than that, Ethan. You've tried to take control of my space. This isn't about providing stability for Lily. This is about respect, and you crossed a line." He didn't argue. He simply nodded, a hint of frustration in his eyes, but also a bit of realization. "I get it. I was out of line. I didn't realize how much I was overstepping." Lily, who had been quiet throughout most of this, stepped forward, looking at me with regret. "Rachel, I never meant for it to go this far," she said quietly. "I thought we could just make it work, but I see now that I should have respected your boundaries from the beginning. I'm sorry." Her words hit me in a way I hadn't expected. A part of me wanted to forgive her immediately, but I couldn't ignore the pain that I felt, the sense of betrayal. But I also knew that forgiving her wasn't just for her. It was for me. I couldn't hold on to the anger any longer. "I appreciate your apology, Lily," I said, my voice steady, "but you need to understand that this is my home, my space. I offered you a place to stay, but that doesn't give anyone the right to take over. You both need to respect that moving forward." There was silence as Ethan and Lily exchanged a glance. Neither of them spoke for a moment, as if weighing my words, and for the first time I felt like I was the one in control, like I was the one setting the tone for the future. Lily sighed and gave me a hesitant nod. "I promise I'll do better. We'll find our own place. I didn't realize how much I was pushing you, but I see it now. I'm sorry, Rachel. I really am." I looked at her for a moment, the emotions swirling in my chest. It wasn't easy, but I knew that this was the right thing for me. I couldn't let them manipulate me into feeling guilty for having boundaries. I wasn't the problem here. They had crossed the line, not me. And if I didn't stand up for myself, no one else would. "Thank you," I said, my voice softer now. "I just need to know that when I offer help, it's not going to come with strings attached. That's all I'm asking." Ethan sighed and slung his bag over his shoulder. "I understand. We'll leave now and we'll figure things out. But you're right, Rachel. I should have respected you more from the start." He gave me a small, almost apologetic smile before he turned and walked out of the apartment, Lily following closely behind him. I stood there for a moment, staring at the empty space they had just left behind, feeling a strange mix of relief and uncertainty. As I looked around my apartment, everything felt different. It was mine again. There were no rules set by someone else, no unexpected changes. This was my space, and I had reclaimed it. I knew this wasn't the end of the story, though. There would be conversations ahead. But for now, I felt like I had made a step in the right direction. I took a deep breath, finally allowing myself to relax for the first time in days. The tension that had been clouding my thoughts began to lift, and for the first time in a long time, I felt a sense of peace. But that peace was quickly interrupted when I heard a knock at the door. My heart skipped a beat, unsure of who it could be. I opened it slowly, and to my surprise, it was my mom. "Hey, Rachel," she said cautiously, her face a mixture of concern and curiosity. "I heard what happened. Can we talk?" I stepped aside and motioned for her to come in. I wasn't sure where this conversation would go, but I was ready to face whatever came next. As my mom walked into the apartment, I could see the concern written all over her face. She was quiet for a moment, taking in the empty space where Ethan and Lily had just left. It was as if the tension in the air had seeped into the room itself, and I could tell she was uncertain of what to say next. We sat down in the living room, and for a long moment, neither of us spoke. The silence was deafening, but somehow it felt necessary. I needed time to process what had just happened, and I could tell my mom was giving me that space. Finally, she cleared her throat, looking at me with a gentle, almost apologetic expression. "Rachel," she began softly, "I know things have been difficult between us, and I know this situation with Lily and Ethan has made everything worse, but I want you to know I'm sorry for not seeing what was happening sooner." I looked at her, surprised by her words. I had expected her to take Lily's side, to defend her in some way, but instead, she was acknowledging the pain I was feeling. It was a moment I hadn't anticipated, and I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. "I just didn't realize how much you were hurting," she continued, her voice trembling slightly. "I've always tried to help, but I know I've failed you in the past. I'm sorry." I felt a wave of emotion hit me. My mom was apologizing, truly apologizing, and for the first time, I realized how much I had longed for this moment. For years, I had been the one to keep things together, to put everyone else's needs before mine. I had been so focused on meeting everyone's expectations that I had forgotten to focus on myself. But now, in this moment, I wasn't alone. I wasn't the one holding everything up by myself. "It's not just you, Mom," I said, my voice shaking slightly. It's everything. I've spent so much of my life trying to make everyone else happy, trying to meet their needs, but I never felt like anyone really saw me. Not for who I am, but just for what I could do for them. I was always the one who gave, and I didn't even realize how much I was losing in the process. My mom's eyes softened, and she reached out, placing her hand gently on mine. "I understand, sweetheart. I understand more than you think. You've always been the strong one, the one who keeps everything together. But that doesn't mean you have to keep carrying the weight on your own." The tears I had been holding back finally began to spill over, and I couldn't stop them. It felt like everything I had been holding inside, all the frustration, the hurt, the anger, was finally being released. It wasn't just the situation with Lily and Ethan. It was years of feeling unseen, of feeling like my worth was tied to my ability to please others. It was years of holding on to the idea that I needed to be perfect, that I couldn't have flaws or needs of my own. "I don't want to keep living like that anymore, Mom," I whispered, wiping my eyes. "I want to live for me. I want to stop feeling like I'm constantly disappointing everyone." She squeezed my hand, nodding in understanding. "You're not disappointing anyone, Rachel. You're allowed to have boundaries. You're allowed to say no. You don't have to keep giving and giving without ever receiving anything in return, and I want to help you with that. I want to help you be the person you want to be, not the person we've all expected you to be." Her words were like a balm to my soul, soothing the years of tension that had built up inside of me. For the first time in so long, I felt heard. I felt understood. It wasn't just about the cake, or the locks, or Ethan's rules. It was about something deeper. It was about recognizing that I had been sacrificing myself for too long and that it was time to stop hiding behind the expectations of others and to start living authentically. I took a deep breath, feeling a sense of peace wash over me. "I'm going to take control of my life," I said, my voice stronger now. "I'm going to set boundaries, and I'm not going to feel guilty for doing it. I'm going to be me, whether that's perfect or not." Mom smiled, tears in her eyes. "I'm proud of you, Rachel. You've always been strong, but now you're being strong for yourself too. That's the most important thing." As I looked at my mom, I realized that this wasn't just about me standing up to Lily and Ethan. It was about standing up to the patterns I had been following my entire life. It was about breaking free from the expectations I had allowed others to place on me and finally giving myself permission to live my truth. The road ahead wasn't going to be easy. There would be more hard conversations, more challenges, but I knew now that I was ready for them. I had taken the first step in reclaiming my life, and that was all that mattered. As my mom and I sat together talking about what came next, I felt a sense of calm I hadn't felt in years. I wasn't alone. I had the strength to stand up for myself, and I had the people in my life who truly cared about me to support me.